I-45F, am a senior executive at a major tech company, and I've spent the last 2 years planning and saving for a dream European vacation for my parents, both 70s. I arranged everything: 5-star hotels, private guides, Michelin-starred restaurants, the works. I covered all expenses, wanting to give them the trip of a lifetime. This morning, when I went to pick them up for the airport, my sister Amanda, 38F, was standing there with her luggage. My mother casually informed me that they decided to take Amanda instead. "You're always so busy with work, dear. Amanda could really use a break." Let me provide some context. Amanda has been living with our parents for over a decade, unemployed and completely dependent on them. They've always enabled her behavior, making excuses like she's still finding her path, or the job market is tough. Meanwhile, my career success has been criticized as neglecting family responsibilities or being too focused on work. I remember the day I got promoted to senior executive. Instead of celebrating, my mother spent the entire dinner talking about how Amanda had finally completed an online course in social media management. The course she never used, by the way, because the industry is too competitive. That's been the pattern my entire life: my achievements minimized, Amanda's smallest efforts magnified. The trip planning began 2 years ago, after a particularly difficult family Christmas. Amanda had thrown a fit because our parents couldn't afford to buy her the designer handbag she wanted. I watched my father's face fall, saw how my mother tried to hide her tears. That night, I decided to give them something special, something they'd never be able to do on their own. I spent countless hours researching the perfect itinerary. I hired a travel consultant who specialized in luxury European tours. We planned every detail: a suite at the Ritz in Paris with an Eiffel Tower view, private after-hours tours of museums, cooking classes with renowned chefs. I even arranged for a local photographer to capture their moments at each destination. The cost was astronomical, nearly $50,000 for the 2-week trip. But I didn't care. I worked extra projects, saved every bonus, and finally made it happen. I wanted to show them that my career success could bring joy to our family, that being focused on work wasn't a bad thing. Last week, when I dropped off their detailed itinerary, my mother seemed genuinely excited. She hugged me, saying, "This is more than we ever dreamed of." My father actually had tears in his eyes as he looked through the restaurant reservations. For once, I felt like I'd done something right in their eyes. But standing in their driveway this morning, watching Amanda smirk as she loaded her designer luggage, bought with our parents' money, into my car, something inside me finally snapped. The luggage alone probably cost more than many families' monthly mortgage payments, all funded by our parents' retirement savings. I maintained my composure during the drive to the airport, but every mile felt like torture. Amanda couldn't stop talking about all the Instagram photos she planned to take. "This is going to be amazing," she gushed. "I've always wanted to see Paris. Do you think we'll have time for shopping between the tours?" My mother chuckled. "Of course, sweetie. We'll make time." I gripped the steering wheel tighter, remembering the hours I'd spent coordinating with the private guides, ensuring every moment was perfectly planned. Amanda continued, "Maybe we can skip some of the museum tours? I mean, who wants to spend hours looking at old paintings?" Those old paintings included a private after-hours tour of the Louvre I'd arranged through professional connections. The kind of experience money alone can't buy. But of course, Amanda wouldn't appreciate that. My father, usually the quiet mediator, cleared his throat. "Thank you for driving us," he said, barely meeting my eyes in the rearview mirror. I could see the guilt in his expression, but as usual, he said nothing to address the real issue. The whole drive, they discussed their plans as if I wasn't even there. Amanda talked about shopping on the Champs-Élysées, completely ignorant of the carefully crafted itinerary I'd planned. My mother encouraged her, while my father remained silent. Not once did anyone acknowledge that this trip was meant to be my gift to them, my chance to share something special. At the airport drop-off, my mother hugged me. "Thank you for understanding, dear. This means so much to Amanda." Those words felt like a physical blow. 2 years of planning, of saving, of wanting to create perfect memories with my parents, all dismissed because Amanda needed a break from her perpetual unemployment. I nodded stiffly. Have a safe flight. I watched them walk away, Amanda practically bouncing with excitement, my parents trailing behind with their matching luggage, another gift from me, chosen specifically for this trip. The drive home was a blur. My mind kept replaying years of similar moments, holidays, birthdays, family celebrations, all centered around Amanda's needs and wants. My graduation dinner, interrupted because Amanda was having another crisis. My promotion party, cancelled because Amanda was feeling down about her job situation. Every significant moment in my life somehow transformed into being about her. As soon as I got home, I opened my laptop. With methodical precision, I began canceling everything. The suite at the Ritz? Cancelled. The private guides? Cancelled. The exclusive restaurant reservations? All gone. I even cancelled the upgraded flight seats I'd paid for. Each cancellation notification felt like breaking another link in the chain that had bound me to their expectations. The cooking class with the famous chef, cancelled. The private museum tours, cancelled. The professional photographer, cancelled. 2 years of planning, undone in less than an hour. I sat back in my chair, a strange calm settling over me. For the first time in my life, I wasn't trying to fix things or make everyone happy. I was choosing myself. The realization was both terrifying and liberating. My phone started buzzing almost immediately. Text messages from my mother, then my sister, then my father. I could imagine their confusion, their anger, their accusations. I turned the phone off without reading them. They wanted to take this trip without me? Fine. But they'd be doing it without my carefully planned itinerary and financial backing too. You know what's ironic? I'd planned this trip as a way to finally win their approval, to show them that my career success could benefit the family. Instead, it became the moment I realized I didn't need their approval anymore. All these years, I'd been trying to prove my worth through achievements, through gifts, through being the responsible one. But now I understand, no amount of success would ever make them see me as equal to Amanda. I can already imagine the chaos when they land in Paris. The confused hotel staff, the missing reservations, the locked premium experiences. They'll probably call me selfish and dramatic. They'll say I'm overreacting. Amanda will play the victim, as she always does. My mother will defend her, as she always does. And my father will stay silent, as he always does. But for once, I don't care. I don't care about their disappointment or their judgment. I don't care about being the difficult daughter or the selfish one. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing my own peace over their approval. I'm sitting here in my home office, looking at the travel documents I'd so carefully prepared. The custom-made itineraries, the confirmation emails, the special request arrangements, all now just digital remnants of another failed attempt to win their love. 2 years of planning, erased in less than an hour. But instead of feeling guilty, I feel free. The sun is setting outside my window, and I realize I'm smiling. Really smiling, not the polite, strained smile I've worn at countless family gatherings. When my parents and sister arrive in Paris in about 10 hours, they'll discover that sometimes actions have consequences. And I'll be here, finally understanding that I don't have to set myself on fire to keep them warm. Maybe this is what real freedom feels like, not the freedom to succeed or achieve, but the freedom to stop trying to prove yourself to people who will never truly see you. Update 1, it's been 12 hours since I cancelled everything, and my phone has been exploding with messages and calls. Let me tell you what happened when they landed in Paris. My mother called first, her voice shrill with panic. The Ritz says they have no reservation for us. We've been standing here for an hour. In the background, I could hear Amanda complaining loudly about being tired and hungry. I let it go to voicemail. Then came the flood of text messages. This is completely unacceptable. Mom. Fix this right now. Amanda. Please call us back. Dad. A friend who works at the hotel, the one who helped me get the suite in the first place, messaged me privately. Apparently, Amanda threw a tantrum in the lobby, screaming about how she was an influencer and demanding special treatment. She has barely 2,000 followers, mostly fake accounts. My mother's next voicemail was more desperate. We had to book a basic tourist hotel near the airport. Do you know how embarrassing this is? Your father's back is hurting from the cheap mattress, and Amanda is crying because she can't post luxury hotel photos for her followers. But here's where it gets interesting. Amanda had already posted on Instagram about staying at the Ritz, with a generic Paris photo she found online. Her followers started asking questions about the hotel's amenities, and she couldn't answer them. Someone pointed out that the photo was from 2019, and others began commenting about her lying. My friend Sarah, who knows the whole story, left a simple comment: "Interesting trip. Who paid for it?" That sparked a flood of questions Amanda couldn't answer. Her attempt to delete comments only made things worse. The chaos continued when they tried to go to dinner. The Michelin-starred restaurant had no record of their reservation. My mother left another voicemail. We ended up eating at a tourist trap near the Eiffel Tower. Amanda says the food made her sick, but we all know she's just upset about missing the fancy restaurant. The private guides I'd arranged started posting about last-minute cancellations on their professional social media accounts. Since they're well-known in luxury travel circles, their posts got attention. Someone connected the dots to Amanda's fake posts, and it went viral in the Paris luxury travel community. My mother's friends from her church group have started asking questions. One of them, who helped me with some travel arrangements, knows the real story and has been quietly spreading the truth. The carefully curated image my parents built, the successful younger daughter taking them on a luxury trip, is crumbling. Dad's golf buddies are asking why they're staying at a budget hotel when their daughter is a successful executive. The lie they told everyone, that I was too busy to go but happily paid for everything, is falling apart. Amanda's latest Instagram post is a picture of her crying in their budget hotel room, with a long rant about toxic family members and betrayal. The comments are not sympathetic. People are asking why she, an unemployed 38-year-old, expected her sister to fund her luxury vacation. One of Amanda's few real friends messaged me privately, "I always wondered how they could afford to spoil her like that. Now I understand, they were spending your money and taking you for granted." My phone just buzzed with another voicemail from Mom. "The photographer didn't show up for our Eiffel Tower shoot, and we couldn't get into any of the restaurants you recommended." Amanda's social media is a mess, and people are talking. Please, fix this. But I won't. For the first time, they're facing the reality of their choices. No more luxury experiences funded by the daughter they pushed aside. No more pretending Amanda is a successful influencer living a glamorous life. Just the truth: a family who took advantage of their hardworking daughter once too often. I've turned my phone off again and opened my laptop to work on a business proposal. The money I saved from canceling their luxury experiences? I'm investing it in my future. Sometimes the best revenge is simply letting people face the consequences of their own actions. They still have their basic flights home booked. I'm not cruel enough to strand them in Paris. But for the next 2 weeks, they'll get to experience Paris like regular tourists: no VIP treatment, no exclusive access, no luxury accommodations. Just them, their choices, and their regrets. Update 2: a week has passed since my family's Paris disaster, and the consequences have snowballed in ways I never expected. First, let me address what happened in Paris. They managed to survive their regular tourist experience, but it was far from the luxury vacation they expected. The budget hotel they stayed at had a pipe burst on their floor, forcing them to move to an even cheaper place. Amanda's attempts to maintain her influencer facade crumbled completely when someone created a Twitter thread documenting all her fake luxury posts. But the real drama started when they returned home. Mom's church friends organized a welcome home dinner, expecting to hear stories about their luxury European adventure. Instead, they got front row seats to a meltdown. Amanda, trying to save face, started describing experiences from the original itinerary: the private tours, the exclusive restaurants, the luxury hotels. Unfortunately for her, Mrs. Peterson, her best friend's mother, had just returned from Paris herself and was at the same restaurants during those dates. She called Amanda out right there at the dinner. The fallout was immediate. Mom's entire social circle now knows the truth. not just about the Paris trip, but about years of deception. How they've been draining their retirement savings to maintain Amanda's lifestyle. How they rejected their successful daughter's generous gift to enable their younger daughter's entitlement. Dad's situation is even worse. His golf club buddies, many of whom are business leaders in our community, have been quietly distancing themselves. One of them, who serves on several corporate boards, pulled me aside at a business function to say he'd always wondered about the family dynamics. Your parents talked endlessly about Amanda's potential, he said, while barely mentioning their daughter who actually succeeded. Amanda's job prospects have evaporated. Remember that social media management course she took? She tried to leverage the Paris incident into a brand recovery specialist career, claiming she could help others recover from social media disasters. It backfired spectacularly when potential clients found her own social media meltdown posts. But here's the unexpected twist: all this chaos led to an amazing opportunity for me. A prominent venture capitalist, who heard about the situation through mutual connections, reached out. He was impressed by how I handled the situation, not just the logistics of the cancellations, but the strategic way I let natural consequences unfold. You showed remarkable business acumen, he said during our lunch meeting. You didn't just react emotionally, you let the market forces of social consequences do the work. He then offered to back my own venture, a luxury travel consulting firm focused on authentic, earned experiences. The irony isn't lost on me. The very trip I planned for my parents is now becoming the foundation of my new business. I've spent the past week in meetings with high-end hotels, exclusive restaurants, and premium experience providers. Many of them remembered the cancellations and were impressed by the original planning. Meanwhile, my parents' financial advisor contacted me privately. He's concerned about their retirement funds, which have been steadily depleting due to supporting Amanda. The Paris trip fiasco forced him to have a hard conversation with them about their financial future. They can't afford to keep supporting Amanda's lifestyle, especially now that their social standing has taken such a hit. Amanda's response to all this? She started a YouTube channel about surviving family betrayal and rising above toxicity. It has 47 subscribers, mostly spam accounts. She tried to monetize her first video but got demonetized for using copyrighted Paris travel footage she stole from actual travel vloggers. Mom attempted damage control by telling people I had a mental breakdown due to work stress, which is why I canceled everything. This backfired when my company's PR team caught wind of it. They released a statement praising my recent project successes and announcing my promotion to the executive board. The timing couldn't have been more perfect, or more devastating to their narrative. Dad finally broke his silence with a long email. He wrote about disappointment, family loyalty, and how I should be more understanding of Amanda's unique challenges. I forwarded it to my therapist, who replied with a single sentence: "This is why we've been discussing boundaries for the past year." The most satisfying moment came yesterday. I was having dinner at an upscale restaurant when I overheard the couple at the next table planning their Paris vacation. They were using my original itinerary as a reference. It had been shared in several luxury travel groups as an example of expert planning. The husband worked for a company that could be a potential client for my new venture. We exchanged business cards. My phone still buzzes with messages from family members and their friends. Most are flying monkeys, trying to guilt me into making things right. I've blocked most of them, but I keep some unblocked as a reminder of why I made this decision. Amanda is still living with our parents, but now she's writing a tell-all blog about growing up with a narcissistic overachiever sister. She has 3 followers. 2 are bots, and the third is my therapist, who says it's providing excellent material for our sessions. The venture capitalist and I are finalizing the business plan next week. The seed money is significantly more than what I spent on the cancelled Paris trip. Sometimes, when one door closes, a better one opens, especially if you have the courage to let go of toxic relationships holding you back. Mom's latest message said I'm tearing the family apart. I think I'm finally cutting through the strings that kept us in a dysfunctional dance. Dad hasn't spoken to me since his email, and honestly, the silence is more peaceful than his years of passive enablement. As for me, I'm looking at office spaces for my new company tomorrow. The top contender has a view of the city that reminds me of Paris. I think it's perfect. Update 3, it's been exactly 1 year since the Paris incident, and I'm writing this from the top floor suite of the Ritz, the same one I originally booked for my parents. Life has a strange way of coming full circle. My luxury travel consulting firm has exploded beyond our wildest expectations. That venture capitalist's faith in me paid off tremendously. We've become the go-to agency for authentic luxury experiences, with a waiting list of clients that includes CEOs, celebrities, and even some European royalty. The irony? Our signature package is called the Authentic Paris Experience, inspired by the very trip I planned for my parents. Last month, my company was featured in Forbes' 40 Over 40, a list highlighting successful entrepreneurs who started their ventures later in life. The article mentioned the Paris incident briefly, framing it as the catalyst that sparked a business revolution in luxury travel consulting. Amanda tried to contact the journalist to tell her side, but was blocked after sending 47 increasingly unhinged emails. Speaking of Amanda, she's still trying to be an influencer. Her latest venture? A podcast about surviving success guilt and healing from achiever's syndrome. It has 12 listeners, primarily consisting of spam accounts and what appears to be a very entertained group of psychology students using it as a case study. The family situation has shifted dramatically. My parents finally had to face reality when their financial advisor gave them an ultimatum: either stop supporting Amanda or prepare to spend their retirement living in her basement. They chose a middle path: they're selling their house to downsize, and Amanda has to start paying rent or move out. Mom's social standing never recovered from the Paris debacle. Her church groups quietly removed her from their organizing committees, tired of her constant excuses and Amanda's dramatic appearances at their events. The final straw came when Amanda tried to start a healing circle at the church, which devolved into her ranting about me to increasingly uncomfortable parishioners. Dad had a moment of clarity during a health scare 3 months ago. When he needed someone to handle his medical paperwork and insurance, guess who he called? Not Amanda, who still lived with them, but me. I helped him navigate the system, using my business efficiency to get him the best care possible. He started crying in the hospital room, finally apologizing for years of enabling behavior. Too little, too late? Perhaps. But it was something. The business continues to thrive. We've opened offices in New York, London, and, yes, Paris. I'm currently here for our Paris office's grand opening, staying in the suite I once booked for my parents. The view of the Eiffel Tower at night is everything I imagined it would be. Yesterday, I had dinner at one of the Michelin-starred restaurants from the original itinerary. The chef remembered the cancellation story; it had become somewhat legendary in Paris luxury circles. He personally prepared a special tasting menu for me, jokingly calling it the prodigal daughter's return. The food was exquisite, made even better by the knowledge that I was there on my own terms. Amanda's latest scheme? She's writing a book called Shadows of Success: Living in the Dark Side of Achievement. So far, she's written 3 chapters, all of which are apparently just different versions of the Paris story with increasingly dramatic embellishments. Her writing group, which meets at the local library's free community space, has gently suggested she might need to broaden her perspective. Mom tried to reach out last week. "I saw your company in the magazine," she said in her voicemail. "I always knew you would be successful." I had to laugh at that revision of history. She followed up with, "Maybe we could all have dinner soon?" Amanda has some exciting book news to share. I didn't respond. The most validating moment came last month. Remember Dad's golf buddy who's on various corporate boards? His daughter is getting married, and he hired my firm to plan their honeymoon. "We want real luxury," he said, "not the manufactured kind." The package we designed costs more than what I would have spent on my parents' entire Paris trip. I've started mentoring young women in business, particularly those dealing with family expectations and pressure. One of them asked me if I regret how things played out with my family. I told her what I've come to believe: sometimes the kindest thing you can do, for yourself and others, is to stop protecting people from the consequences of their own choices. My therapy sessions have decreased to monthly check-ins. My therapist says I've made exceptional progress in setting boundaries and processing family trauma. Amanda still blogs about her ongoing therapy journey, though my therapist confirmed she's never actually attended a session, she just Googles psychological terms and misuses them in her posts. The biggest change? I'm at peace. Real, genuine peace. Not the fake kind I used to feel when I was suppressing my feelings to keep the family happy. I sleep well at night, wake up excited about work, and no longer feel that constant need to prove my worth through achievement or expensive gifts. Last week, I got an email from the private guide I had originally booked for my parents. She's now one of our top contractors in Paris. Your family's loss was the luxury travel industry's gain, she wrote. She's right. Sometimes the worst moments in our personal lives lead to our greatest professional triumphs. I'm looking out at the Paris skyline as I write this. Tomorrow, I have meetings with luxury hotels about expanding our partnerships. Next week, I'm meeting with investors about taking the company global. My calendar is full of business opportunities, not family drama. Mom's last text said they're selling most of their furniture to help pay for the smaller house they're moving to. Amanda's trying to convince them to let her turn their new living room into a content creation studio for her non-existent influencer career. Dad's health is better, but their retirement savings are not. As for me, I just booked a summer villa in the south of France, for myself. No family obligations, no trying to please anyone else, no walking on eggshells. Just me, enjoying the success I've earned and the peace I've finally found. Sometimes I think about that morning in their driveway, watching them leave for a trip I had planned. I thought I was losing something valuable. Instead, I was finally breaking free. The view from this suite reminds me, Paris isn't about family obligations or proving your worth. It's about living authentically, on your own terms. I raise my glass of champagne to the Eiffel Tower lights. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just living well, it's living truthfully, successfully, and unapologetically on your own terms.